Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about a potential tropical cyclone that's going to be going on potentially in the Gulf of Mexico. There's a lot to talk about, so let's talk about it in just a moment. Anyways, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think this one will become a tropical depression, tropical storm, or whatnot? What do you think this one's maximum intensity is? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and we're taking a look at the 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook. And there's pretty much nothing, you can see that. But when we move to the 5-day outlook, here's where things get interesting. They started this yesterday, but we have a 20% chance of tropical development there in the southern Caribbean. And this is moving basically northwestward. Also, some energy from the Pacific might make its way up in through Mexico into the Gulf of Mexico, and they could kind of meet. I'm going to talk all about that. It's a pretty complicated situation. Nevertheless, what you need to know is there is the potential for a tropical system to move into the Gulf of Mexico, and then all of the United States there in the Gulf do have a potential threat at having some sort of impact from this system. Here's the sea surface temperature anomalies, and this is important because, well, tropical systems need warm waters to develop. And as you can see, again, it's basically offshore of Central America. As it moves northwestward, we could see it move in towards warmer and warmer and warmer waters there. Those yellows and oranges is where we have some above normal sea surface temperatures around there, near Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula as well. That is where it could tap into some of those warmer waters and possibly intensify quite a bit. So we will be watching for that as we move forward. Here's a chart just showing us what the Gulf of Mexico looks like as far as sea surface temperatures are concerned. As you can see, we have generally above average sea surface temperatures basically located in the Gulf of Mexico at this point. We did have some below normal sea surface temperatures around May 24th, but that has since then increased and actually warmed up quite a bit. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the probability of tropical depression here from our European model. And over the next 3 days is going to be from today, June 7th, all the way through June 10th. As you can see, there near Central America, we actually have a 50 to 70% chance of tropical depression development according to this model, which is actually pretty high for that area. Usually you don't see that intensive tropical systems develop there. So that's actually pretty interesting, to me at least. I think that is saying something about this system. The European model seems to be the most bullish on this storm, so we're going to be watching very, very closely for that. And we're going to also take a look at the GFS a little bit later on. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on with this, and we're going to take a look at the days 3 through 6. That's going to be the 10th through the 13th of June, and then eventually even the 14th through the 17th when this one could be entering into the Gulf. All right, now here is the the days 3 through 6, or the 10th through the 13th. As you can see, those probabilities go down quite a bit, but look at that energy there in the Pacific, but heading northward, and it looks like it could move through Mexico. That one has a 70 to 80% chance of tropical depression development. That is what could meet up with this tropical disturbance we have down there in the southern Caribbean and kind of create something for the Gulf. The models have varying opinions on what could develop and where it could impact, but nevertheless, they both the European and the GFS model have something developing, which means a lot, obviously, when you have those two agreeing that something could happen. And by the time we're taking a look at days 7 through 10, or the 14th through the 17th, you can see that we do have a lot of that energy transferring into the Gulf, where we have generally about a 20 to 50% chance of developing there, tropical depression development there in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, we can't go any further than this, but I'm guessing the probability would increase a little bit there at least. And actually, as we take a look at the same time frame, there is now a chance of tropical storm development here in the Gulf of Mexico, according to this model. A 10 to 20% chance of tropical storm development in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. That's very interesting. Obviously, a tropical storm is a lot stronger than a tropical depression, also a lot more impactful. So there's probably more concern there, obviously, for that. Now, you might be thinking, I don't really care about the probability. I want to see what the model's actually calling for. So let's just take a look at our cyclonic vorticity. And this is just going to show us where there's some rotation or spin there in the atmosphere, where basically where there is some storms that are spinning, which is, a tropical cyclone. For now, this is hour 72. You can see there is some of that going on. Basically, the blues are some weak rotation. The reds and purples is a lot more. We do have a lot going on for the Pacific there, and then also near Central America. In about 3 days or so, this is going to be June 10th. As you can see, by the time we reach June 17th, though, a lot of that energy transfers to where it's basically over Mexico, south of Mexico in the Pacific, but also north of Mexico there in the Gulf of Mexico. The Central Gulf is mostly where this, or I guess the South Central Gulf, actually, that area near Mexico there is actually the one we're eyeballing the most. That is where we are watching for some potential development of that potential tropical depression or tropical storm. Here, this is very, very long range. You're going to want to take this with a major grain of salt. But basically, our GFS model and the European model both have some sort of energy transferring over here into the Gulf of Mexico. What we're going to do here in a moment is we're going to take a look at the pressure. So we're going to see if there's low pressure or high pressure. We're going to take a look at that dust. Could this storm get broken up by something? We're even going to take a look at the GFS's cyclonic vorticity. And then we're going to take a look at my cone forecast in just a moment. All right, now here we are taking a look here, and we're taking a look at that pressure. As you can see, there's some very strong low pressure actually here in the Gulf according to the European model by June 17th, which is 10 days from now. That green is indicating below normal pressure there, and we see that L there with a 1004 millibar location there in the southern Gulf. That could be a tropical depression or tropical storm. Also, by this point, there will be some very intense dust potentially located in the Caribbean and also Florida. We might need to talk about that in the future. That's very interesting. That could actually cause some haziness when it's that intense. But the areas in the Gulf, actually, where this storm would be located is not quite as intense. And I don't think it would be too much of an impact to this system. According to the GFS, here's our cyclonic vorticity. And this is going to be about June 15th. As you can see, there's not a lot going on. We do have an area south of Jamaica that looks to be of interest. This model by hours 2:40, this is going to be June 17th, doesn't really have that energy transferring from the Pacific to the Atlantic. It mostly just has that area that we have a 20% chance of development right now, moving northward through into and towards Cuba and Florida there. So this one doesn't have that energy transferring, and it actually eventually, by hours 3:06, take this with a grain of salt because this is very, very far out. This is like very low odds of happening this way, exactly this way at least. But this model does have this eventually hitting Texas as a pretty strong tropical cyclone, actually. So we'll be watching for that potentially, but again, that will likely look a lot different by the time we're reaching that far out. That is a very, very low odd forecast. When you go beyond hours 2:40, you want to take that with a grain of salt, 100%. Here's our cone forecast. Basically, over the next 7 days, this energy is going to move up, mostly towards the Yucatan Peninsula. And I think this could move towards kind of the central or southern Gulf of Mexico. Again, that energy from the Pacific, which I'm not showing on this screen, could also meet up with that or just be an individual threat. But generally, that could move northward through Mexico into the Gulf of Mexico as well. And we will be watching for that tropical threat as well. Regardless, as of right now, as we take a look at our confidence tab, we are at a 3 out of 6, so below 50%, about a 40 or a 30% chance to 50% chance. So this is a low odd threat at this point, and we need to know a lot more before we feel confident that this will be any sort of an actual tropical cyclone that develops into something notable. So we're going to need to wait and see with this 100%, but for now we are at a 3 out of 6 there on that confidence tab. Due to this, I do plan on updating this storm actually over the coming days for you guys. I think that this is going to be kind of the most imminent or most impactful potential threat going on. So this will be the hottest topic in my videos coming up soon. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, in a very fitting fashion, Bart Barton, I asked you guys, when do you think we could see our next tropical cyclone yesterday? Without even knowing that this one was really a threat yet. I talked about the hurricane season overall yesterday, so I wasn't really paying attention to the models too much. But Bart Barton responded to that, and said, I think we will see a storm sometime at the end of the week. So I think Bart Barton is seeing what we're seeing now. So definitely a good comment of the day there. Somebody's paying very close attention to the tropics. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovi Nagler the Pan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Flago Garys, and John Quilisi, alongside Dwight Phelan and Stephen Cronenthal as well. Sorry, I always forget you guys there on the right side of the screen. I would also like to thank our channel members, Hairforms1 and Catbite as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to destroy the like button. Be sure to leave a comment down below to help that YouTube algorithm out as well. And be sure to subscribe if you like weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.